If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members.
We are back. I'm Chris Evans, the CEO of Survival Dispatch, joined tonight by my good friend Randy Nance, back home in Texas, combat wounded, Green Beret, and below us, Jeff MD, 23 years, CIA case officer, author extraordinaire. The books you see behind him, he wrote those books, and affectionately known in the Survival Dispatch family as 007. In tonight's episode in our ongoing series, The Long War, we're going to be discussing the information civil war. But before that, we're going to dive into the conflicted question of the night. And then we've got a bunch of zaniness for tonight's SITREP as well. So hopping on over to the conflicted question. If you're not familiar with this, conflictedthegame.com. These are 14 card decks set in post-apocalyptic scenarios. Most of the questions have some element of morality, hence the name conflicted. If society as we know it were to collapse, the government would try to ensure its own survival. How do you think your federal government will behave if a solar flare or an electromagnetic pulse destroyed the power grid across the country? Would you join them or avoid them? Well, number one, if you set off every single nuclear warhead in the world, you couldn't take out the grid and all the electronics across America. There's not enough. You get them at a high altitude and HEMP.
Well, this is kind of an odd question because you're right about that. That can't happen. But let's just say hypothetically somehow it did. We already know they have all these bunkers everywhere, and we're not going to be invited. So there is no will you join them.
Yeah, for sure. So Jeff and Randy and I will answer this at the end of the episode. We'd like to see your answers in the live chat or the comment section down below. So the first SITREP video has gone viral today, and ironically enough, it's directly related to tonight's topic of the information civil war. I kind of want to play the whole 5 minutes, but I won't. I guess I'll pause it here and there. I don't know that we'll get through all of it, but we will get enough that you will get a feeling for the sheer insanity displayed here, and then Jeff, Randy, and I will comment on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. The United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor. and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question. it sounds like.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask, I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men.
So this goes on for another 3 hours. And it's ironic that this is so related to tonight's main topic at hand, information civil war. She is a soldier in the information civil war. She is on the side of complete bullshit. She knows that she's on the side of complete bullshit, but it's her job to get in front of cameras, get in front of the public, so that the weak-minded amongst us start adopting the same type of viewpoints that she's professing, that it's not a simple male-female thing. Randy, I'll come to you first. Pardon my French, this is fucking insane, period.
Well, somebody, I thought it right off. Well, certainly as she keeps going on ferociously, mentioned in the comments, she should lose her medical license. I don't care who you are, certainly in a hearing like that, we're talking about science and biological certainties. There are only two sexes, male and female. It doesn't matter what you identify with. That part doesn't matter. And it's no different. All of us die today and they dig us up 1,000 years from now. They're going to look at our bone structure and know whether you were male or female, and you are never changing that no matter what you want to identify with. But the loss of credibility here, including on the entire medical field, and I'm talking to all the ones that don't back this. Well, it's time to really start standing up to this as a professional, or you don't have a professional field.
Yeah, well, like I said, she's a warrior in the information civil war.
She's being paid. You're right, Chris.
100%.
To never say the word no, that men can't get pregnant. She's obviously paid not to do that. And it takes a special kind of person, right, to be able to sit there, certainly at the level they are right now in that hearing, one of the top in the nation. And she's a doctor with a PhD, and she won't say the words, no matter how many ways or how many different times he asked her. And that's what I'm talking. It's just gross incompetence, because it's worse than incompetent. Like you said, she's purposely doing that. And until everybody holds him accountable, including all the other doctors, this kind of stuff won't end. And this is the same kind of rhetoric in a different way, because it's the same people, the same movement, the same political movement, we'll say, that got that woman killed the other day.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, all she's doing is creating a larger chasm between us and them by convincing more people they can believe in this shit. Jeff, I mean, obviously PhD in her case stands for pilot high and deep, but is there nothing that can be done as far as a doctor's standing is concerned when they support such asinine theories easily disproven? You're on mute, Jeff.
Sorry, I was on the microphone. Okay. Sadly, the professional organizations that accredit these people buy into this nonsense. The American Association, or American Pediatric Association, the AMA, the American Psychological Association, they all buy into this nonsense, where 10 years ago they didn't. And that's because it's politics and funding. They're chasing money. And if you came out in the, last 4 years and said, guess what? Men can't have babies, something we all know, you wouldn't have gotten a grant. And so I don't know why they're still doing this. Maybe they're thinking that once Trump leaves office, that they'll go back to the way it was. But this isn't science. This is political science. And someone needs to call them on that and say, you are not a scientist. You're a political scientist, because everything you're doing, all your decisions and conclusions are based on what, the political winds, which way they're blowing. But I heard somebody describe it as, it's beyond the point of trying to tell you what is true is not true, or vice versa. It's one thing to say, look, and this is the analogy they gave, I can move that mountain. And you may not believe them, and they can claim it, but they can't really prove it until they move the mountain. We see that with climate change all the time. They make predictions they never have to stick up. What they're doing now with this crap is saying, not only have I already moved the mountain, it's no longer there. And if you see it, something's wrong with you. That means you have a problem. You have a mental disorder. If you see that mountain, which is right there and has always been there, because I moved it yesterday.
Yeah, good description there, by the way. Let's do our first audience poll. If you do not believe that men can get pregnant, put a 0 in the live chat. 0 means men cannot get pregnant.
Hey, I hate to break it to you, Chris, but you're the second. Somebody already started one in the chat. If you were going to tell Jeff that he was on mute 3 more times before the show and put a 1 in the chat.
That's too funny.
Well, I'm on mute all the time because I want to spare you guys me coughing or blowing my nose or yelling at my dogs, which happens all the time.
Too much. If you think men cannot get pregnant, 0 in the live chat. If you think they can get, pregnant, put a 2 in the live chat so we're not crisscrossing between the audience polls. I've lost track, by the way, how many people's comments on CommieTube have been censored and I've approved. It's many, like it's approaching 20 at least. So anyway, moving on to the next one. How do you expect her to deal with mega people? She's exhausted. Her nose is running. Her piercings are throbbing. And she feels like she's going crazy. 90% of the people she interacts with live in a different reality. What's wrong with them? 1 minute, 16 seconds.
Do we just stop coexisting with these people? Because honestly, I'm fucking exhausted. I'm physically, mentally, and emotionally fucking drained. I have to put on a face every day like everything's fine, and I have to go to work, and I have to...
Let me just get the right spot here. Saw it. There it is. Right there. 1,000 milligram stare on display.
A face every day like everything's fine, and I have to go to work, and I have to sell shit, and I have to come home and hang out with my kid and do his homework, and then put him on the bus to go to school, while people are literally getting shot in the street, and we're watching it, and they're telling us we're not saying what we're saying. I just feel like I'm going crazy. Like 90% of the people that I have to see every day live in a completely different reality than I do. And I'm crying on the fucking internet. I am just so exhausted.
And there's more belly aching that goes on, but at the end of the day,
that was plenty.
Yeah, for sure. The cop,
she had to do 3 takes to get this far. So
yeah, no kidding. So the cop that shot the girl was actually hospitalized, had internal bleeding from being hit, but that's
and wasn't it his second time to get hit? I think a year or so ago he was hit and drug.
Yeah, he was drug away. That's right. Yeah. But
none of that's relevant though, Chris. And what I was going to say, now you kind of point out her eyes, but the first thing I was going to say was, hey, ma'am, I heard they have a prescription for that. Well,
are you trying to give her the 2,000 milligram stare? I mean,
I just couldn't help myself.
Right.
Well, the hypocrisy of this, and this is the narcissism of the left.
Yeah.
This woman, it's all about her. It's not about the woman who was killed. It's It's not about the illegals being arrested. It's about how it affects her. Well, it doesn't actually affect her at all. It's only in her own mind does it affect her. But you know what doesn't affect her in the least? The probably 10,000 Iranians who've been killed in the last probably 3 or 4 days trying to overthrow a violent theocratic regime that's been in power since 1979. That she is oblivious to or chooses to ignore because it's really hard for her to make that about her.
Yeah, true story. So moving on to the next one. I don't even have to, play the video and pause. Here it is. 1,000 milligram stare.
And what is the little bracelet? What is that thing again?
Mental illness identity.
There we go. Because I wanted to say, listen, I asked somebody that grew up on a ranch and knows everything there is about cattle, because we've seen, that's where I first saw him as a kid. We saw in cattle and movies that cattle had a ring right there. So I thought to myself, I was going to say it the other night, but I didn't know what the purpose of that thing was. I thought I might know. And it turns out I was right, because there's really not much other purpose you can do with that, right? But that was made certainly for ornery cattle, where you could just barely reach over there and grab that thing and start doing this, and it will go that way because of how sensitive its tissue is right there. So if you want to put one in your mouth and your nose for people to lead you around, that's exactly what it's telling us.
Yeah. And it's, if you look at a team of oxen, they have them so that they can steer them.
That's right.
And Randy's 100. That is like the reins and a bit in a horse. For a cow, they use a nose, or a bull, they use a nose ring. And that's what she is. She's a cow who's being led around by her nose.
So, I mean, can you imagine dating one of these things? Because as far as I can figure out, that bull ring is a snot magnet, a snot collector. There's no way you can tell me otherwise. I guarantee you. Yeah, for sure. So
it's an IQ test. It's an IQ test for men dating her. If you date her seeing that and you date her anyway, you have failed the IQ test.
Yeah. What's the adage? I didn't make this up, but pardon my French again, but don't stick your dick in crazy, right? So 59 seconds.
There's a solution to ICE and the tyrannical government, and you guys are going to have to hear me out. Fully listen to me, okay? Because we're past the point of being able to vote this away. We are. So lock in with me for a second. This is America. We were founded on violence. And we have a Second Amendment specifically to protect us from a tyrannical government. And now we have a tyrannical government. So use your Second Amendment. Okay? You and all your friends should be carrying everywhere you go, especially if you are being a legal observer. Carry. Know how to use it, and be prepared to use it when they start getting aggressive. Use it. Use it before you lose it.
Oh my God, look at that. You couldn't ask for a better shot of the 1,000 milligrams there.
You should do a screenshot, so every time we say that, this flashes
there we go.
On the show.
I mean, that's one of the strongest 1,000 milligram stairs I've seen. I just took a screenshot. So there.
But here, case in point, right? If we said anything like this, as far as a conservative view, they would be showing up at our door right now.
Damn skippy, bud.
But as I mentioned the other night, this is where they've led their people to. So now they're going to say we have a tyrannical government and that they need to use their Second Amendment. So, you may be right, Chris. I mean, it may be coming down to because, sooner or later, these people are actually going to do that. That's a fact. That's why they go out and do the mass shootings and all the other stuff. Sooner or later, they're going to push that button. They don't realize what's going to happen right after. But I think that they've led this crowd here because as I've mentioned many times over the last, 15 years since Trump, since 2014, and he came down the staircase and announced he was going to run as a Republican. We've seen this rhetoric lead us all the way to right here. And I think it's very telling that now regular people like her, now, not real American, regular people. That's all she is. She's not a real American, or she wouldn't be running this stuff. Because again, what she's talking about doesn't really want the Constitution in America as it is now if they had to overturn the government, as we well know, because they have no problem weaponizing every agency against us.
Yeah. Just because Randy mentioned it, there's a very, very high profile, influencer on X who violated Randy's IP today by using the real Americans phrase without the TM Randy Nance. So that could escalate quite a bit. Josh, want to thank you for the $5 tip. Thank you, sir. Very, very nice of you. Jeff, I don't even know what to say. This looks like a straight clown show.
What is sad is, okay, this woman's obviously an idiot. We know that. Somewhere there's going to be a bigger idiot who listens to her and does what she's suggesting. And they're going to go armed to a protest. That's fine. You can go armed to a protest. But if they pull a gun on law enforcement, they're going to get aerated. They're going to be perforated. And then they're going to say, oh my God, look what the evil law enforcement did. No, law enforcement defended itself against a moron who pulled a gun on them. And you think, if you get shot by driving a car into a policeman, can you imagine what's going to happen when you shoot at one?
Yeah.
The people returning fire will be better shots. I can guarantee.
Don't do it in that one county in Florida. That guy's already told them they're going to put as many bullets as they have on them in them.
Yeah,
that's Polk County. That's a Sheriff Grady Judd's territory, kind of southwest of Kissimmee. So this nutcase here, she publishes multiple videos a day. She is completely unhinged. This is the most honest thing to come out of these protests, says Mario Nafal. She's not really out there because of policy concerns or constitutional principles. She's out there because she has generalized rage, looking for somewhere to land. And this week it happens to be federal agents. Next week it'll be something else. It actually explains a lot. 25 seconds.
One thing that hating men has trained me for is literally trained me for chasing fucking ICE cars off of my street. 5 of them right
Look at that. That's it right there. 1,000 milligrams there.
now. Following down the neighborhood, honking, blowing whistles, telling them to fuck off. All that rage that I have felt towards men is coming out. I have been trained for this moment, bitch. I will follow you everywhere.
What? All of about 90 pounds of you? Good luck.
Hey, is that a white power sign she's flashing?
Hey, it might be, or it's
she's
that
a racist.
game. Yeah.
She's a racist.
Oh,
Definitely.
clearly. Talk about fatal attraction, huh? She did one where she said, I've posted this video on my dating profile. And then like the next one, she's like, I just wish there was a guy where I could say, let's go do this. And they jump in the passenger seat and we would go take on ICE. And oh my God, she's just completely batshit insane.
Well, I don't know. Did she miss the story from a few days ago? It didn't work out too well.
No, she wants the guy to go out and get shot.
That's exactly right.
She's like the lesbian woman. But she's a bunny boiler, man. Look at that face.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. She's going to be the one out with the phone outside the car. Right? You drive, sir, and I will film what happens.
Okay, I'll pull the pin on the grenade. You flip the spoon, hand it to you, and you walk down the street.
Well, so I got the perfect man for it right here. And Brandon says, this Care Bear is going to keep his glasses on because he's been crying. This video just proves there are no real men in the Democrat Party. It's 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Not a freaking chance I'm playing the whole thing.
I'm going to keep my sunglasses on because I've been crying. Let's see. But I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be an American, and how hard that is after you wake up. Once you start seeing through all the lies and the realization that it's just one big cult, and deconstructing all that and realizing that we've all been lied to for hundreds of years about everything. And when I was part of that cult, I loved this country. I had just patriotism oozing from every pore of my body. I would stand every morning and say the Pledge of Allegiance. And both of my grandfathers fought in World War II, and my dad was part of the Patriot Guard and would stand at the funerals of veterans and hold flags. And I remember my grandpa would stand to hold the flag while we'd sing God Bless the USA at this like club that my parents were a part of. And I think about that, and now I realize that we're the bad guys, and we've always been the bad guys. And they say that the victors write the history books, and damn, is that true? Like, we are horrible.
Oh my God.
I'm like, first, pal, take the butt plug out. You know, maybe it won't be so painful.
Well, plus both his grandfathers are probably spinning in their grave at about 2,000 RPM right now.
Yeah, you know they are. I mean, you know, hey, if you were, you wouldn't have been so easily convinced otherwise. I mean, because certainly in this day and time, and we look at, as I talked about, the credibility of some of these doctors, and somebody mentioned it, just because she has a PhD doesn't mean she's an MD, and that's correct. But I'm assuming that she is, since they had her in the room to answer that biological question. But regardless, you know, this guy, you know, if he was a true patriot, he would have, you know, he would take into account how much the media has lied over the last 15 years, and as well as academia. You know, it's a fact. You look at today's programming on TV, what they're teaching in kids, and everything else, you know, there's no doubt they're trying to make people dumber. I mean, it's just a fact. They're trying to make people dumber. They no longer want us to be intelligent and productive citizens. They want you to be a slave.
Yeah. So, Randy, just a newsflash here. I'm paraphrasing, but somebody said that he can't take the butt plug out because it's holding in what little bit of brains he has left.
Oh, you could be right. You're onto something.
Yeah, I think Randy's right about the whole education thing, because it used to be, if you had a college degree, that was the pathway to success in this country, and blah blah blah. And you know, we did universal education because it made this country stronger. But now we're getting to the point where we have kids who can't read. You know, like entire schools of kids that cannot read at grade level, can't do simple math, can't do anything. But it is the longer you're in college, the dumber you get, because they're getting their PhDs in gender women's studies and social justice 101. They're not learning real stuff. And when you have doctors like that idiot woman who can't even say men can't have babies, why are you going? What the hell is the point of med school? My wife and I were talking about this. It's like, you know, I think I'd rather just have the physician's assistant deal with stuff, because you know they didn't go through all this woke bullshit in medical school.
Yeah, so I've actually got a video queued up. I don't know if we'll get to it or not, but basically this young liberal says, did you know that blue states are far more educated than red states? But it's the indoctrination, right? I mean, but you
say, you know what? Those blue states can't tie their freaking shoes. They can't change oil on their car. They can't drive a nail with a hammer. They don't know how to use a freaking drill. Educated yet stupid. Education does not equate to intelligence.
I've honestly been saying for over 30 years, our education system teaches students to memorize and regurgitate, does not teach them how to think. And so they get indoctrinated, then they spew that shit. Manly, thank you very much for the tip, brother. Very much appreciated. There has just been a ton of censorship happening up here on my screen for YouTube. Listen to this. This is a good one. Ladybug Dances says, any man who turns on the waterworks for the camera is a weenie. And YouTube thought that should be censored.
So she said she was a weenie?
No, any man who turns on the waterworks for the camera is a weenie.
Weenie, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's a hot dog. Obviously, he's a Frankfurter. Why did that get
Alaska Forever North? This is pure gold, by the way. How can you have gender studies when you can't tell what a man or woman is?
Very good point. Every answer is the right answer.
Well, see that that if you can talk poorly or down on like toxic masculinity, or you can take any of those avenues you want, they're not going to censor that. But the moment you start talking about beta weenie boys, then they're going to censor that. So.
Well, somebody else said this is bad, but whatever. It got censored. I approved it. Said that the best part of that dude ran down his mother's leg.
Oh.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, probably true.
Oh my God, it's just crazy. So look at this one. I mean, here's another one. We don't even have to start it.
Oh goodness. I think that's better than the last one.
I think that's more like at least a 1,500 milligram stare. Could be 2,000 milligrams.
That definitely has a more of a twist to it for sure.
It could be a guy with 1,000 milligrams.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the gender this person identifies as.
You're right. You're right.
The mentality of the left is disgraceful. She believes destroying people's property is perfectly fine if she agrees with them. We should not be forced to live among these people. 13 seconds.
Destruction of property is a perfectly viable source of protest. No harming humans, obviously. Yeah. Human life is sacred no matter whose it is. But property these are just things. These are just cars.
All right. Randy.
Just a gun. Also a thing.
Randy.
Well, I mean, they're just, as we mentioned, all these, none of them are in reality, right? This is all about some kind of alternative reality that they want to paint. And it comes back to the accountability piece though, right? Because as long as we let medical professionals, as long as we allow the media, as long as we allow scientists and all these other people that are supposed to be, that tell the truth, or at least try to get to the truth, where they're able to just say or do anything. So you have people like these people that just can't help but follow them. That it gives, my what I see as the saving grace is how small the fractions got for that side. Guaranteed it's 20% or less.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. So this next one here, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's not necessary, but deranged leftist was just arrested outside ICE Minneapolis for beating the side of a federal vehicle with a pole. The left recruits a bunch of goons with literal mental disorders to commit crimes like this for them.
That's one of those hurricanes.
I was like, if you've got to use one of those to walk around, maybe you shouldn't try to mess with federal agents.
Well, and that cop back there is not very big. He just took down the guy a foot taller and like he was nothing. Look at this asshole here.
I know. I love how they just scream like that. Like, you realize you look unhinged. So whatever you think you're doing is probably wrong.
Let's just have a look here.
Oh yeah.
This guy is very effeminate looking, and that's all part of the food being poisoned, all this ultra processed food that's full of soy.
Well, who knows? He may be taking hormones too.
Chris. He could be, but just the soy alone absolutely destroys testosterone production.
Yeah. All that McDonald's.
Well, they even say even as little as 2 cups of soy milk a day will completely destroy your testosterone production. So this is a prime example, right, of somebody who's in their 20 years old ish and has the same testosterone level that a 70-year-old male had at the turn of the century. It's the pussification of America. So next one up, 21-year-old Santa Ana lost vision in one eye after being struck by a DHS less lethal round at close range, requiring 6 hours of surgery to remove debris from his face. Been there, done this, right? I took a snowmobile track in the face that ripped the left side of my face to shreds and cost me my vision November 2nd, 1996. And I kept the eye. All I could see was light until January 2015. Then they finally had to take it out, put a prosthetic in. But these people are putting themselves in harm's way. I can sympathize with losing vision. unlike people who haven't lost their vision. But this guy put himself in harm's way. So you can't actually see the shot, but it's this. Wait a minute here. There's a small guy coming up right there. Okay, so this kid who's being drug out of the way, that's the one who got hit in the eye. It's hard to tell there. You can see he's got a bunch of blood around his left eye. I think you get a little bit better picture. There you go. Right there. So he was hitting the left eye, which ironically is the same as me. But I don't know what these kids think, man. You put yourself in harm's way. Shit happens, man.
Well, it's one person in there, paid protester, and I have no doubt because we really don't have any idea how many are out there, But I saw a post on X yesterday from another Green Beret that did a lot more time than me, and he pointed out how easily, really, if we wanted to, if actually anybody was trying to stop this, even one, robust little SF team or special operations teams with financial folks and some other areas would be able to run these down, how they're getting paid, who's paying them, how many there are. But obviously that's not happening, or this. And again, but yeah, the point on what this is actually, this guy being a paid protester brought his ass there where he knew this kind of thing was going to happen. And, I'm not going to say he deserved it. What I will say, though, is he's lucky he's got one eye left.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Jeff, you want to take a swing at this one?
Well, yeah, Randy's right. The guy put himself in a stupid situation and paid the stupid tax. In this case, it was his eye. But what Randy says about trying to, follow the money and see where it goes, I hope they're doing that, and they're just not going after the little fish. They're trying to take it all the way up the chain and get the big guys. It's like the mafia thing. Yeah, they could make little cases against the little street guys, but they want the kingpin. They want the Don. And hopefully that's what they're doing. And it'll be Soros and the usual suspects, Reid Hoffman, all those idiots. And if you can get them probably in a RICO case where they are conspiring across state lines to interfere with law enforcement, which is a crime, then, man, arrest those suckers and put them in prison.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Jeff. So next one here, liberal woman says she doesn't want to be seen with a white man. What advice would you give her? 13 seconds.
I feel like being seen with a white man would be so bad for my brand.
So bad for her brand. What the fuck is she talking about? What brand? Look at this.
Come on. You don't know who that is, Chris?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, but
that's the
she's famous. She's
got a brand. It's the 1,000 milligram stare bitch.
She's a cat lady in Denver.
Not even romantically, just in general. I won't be elaborating on that statement. Bye.
Oh, wait a minute. Stop it. Look there. She's got the identity bracelet, mental illness.
Oh, she sure does.
She sure does. That's right. Somebody's leading you around.
That's she got the 1,000 milligram stare plus the snot ring. She's got both. So next one up. We have such an epidemic of mental illness. It is out of friggin' control. She filmed her mental breakdown for your enjoyment. Her spouse has been detained by ICE. I'll let her bellyache about the rest of it. 58 seconds.
So fucking sick of this country. My spouse has been detained, so we got approval from ICE to get married. That was such a difficult hurdle to get over. And now the county that is detaining him is refusing to give us a marriage license because he doesn't have a valid ID from the US. If he had a valid ID, why the fuck would he be in detention? I have his birth certificate, his expired passport, his expired green card, his expired driver's license, and that won't work. That won't work. So now I'm looking up any fucking county in Texas who will fucking accept that and give me a marriage license because the judge already has me scheduled for an appointment at the detention center for a wedding. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why?
Oh, boo-hoo. You know, you can't marry people just to get them a citizenship, honey. I hate to tell you that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, and cry about it all you want, but obviously they didn't do it before. I mean, it's in the middle of the process, apparently. And, you know, that prove that you have an actual relationship, romantic relationship, that y'all would get married any other way or any other time. And maybe so, but that's crazy.
Alaska Forever North wants to know, he got censored for this, by the way, if we can deport her too.
Oh, I meant to say,
you go with it.
and on the last girl, somebody in the thread said they saw her in an adult film at some point.
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's the brand she was talking about.
Ooh, that's a mental image none of us needed there.
Zero.
What cracks me up about this one is she answers her own question. Okay, he has an expired driver's license. Can you drive on an expired driver's license? No. You get arrested and they seize your car. He has an expired passport. Can you travel on an expired passport? No. You enter a country on an expired passport, they turn your ass around, put you on the next plane back to where you came from. He has an expired green card, which means he hasn't done his paperwork. He hasn't followed the law. You get to stay in this country with an expired green card. No, you don't. She answered all her own questions.
So
well, that's the funny thing about those expiration dates.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So PAEMT is in agreement with y'all. They got censored for this. Her license to breed needs to be revoked.
Well, and then does the guy have a driver's license from this country, or are we talking about one from another country? Because how is all of his stuff, his green card, his passport, how's it all expired and he have a driver's license?
Yeah.
Wrench Tuner wants to know if we can trade some of these women for others that are worth a damn. Censored by YouTube, letting that go.
That's a fact, though. We should.
I heard a really good one along those lines. It says it was, I think, Babylon B, but it was saying Trump is trying to trade American liberal females for hot Iranian women.
Yeah.
Unreal. Fitzroy got I think it's Fitzroy. It's far enough away, it's kind of in between my glasses range, but he wants to know if her fiance, spouse, husband is Mexican, Somalian, or Chinese.
I know, right?
And then John got censored for saying Senator Somalia. I'm approving all of these as they pop up on my screen.
Well, or you could say, is he part of Hamas? Is he Hezbollah? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So anyway, next one up from James.
Oh, boy.
Breaking news, Crusaders have arrived in Minneapolis. Press conference tomorrow at 12 p.m. at the Whipple Federal Building. No surrender.
Patriots, it's Mr. Scott, 1776. The past coming days I've been attacked. I've resigned from my position. Forbes has reported on it. At Harmony Investment Group as a search fund manager. I've lost my home for my landlord. I've lost my attorney, Marcus Garsky from Garsky and Hewitt, who has dropped me due to the political motivations. My bank accounts at Chase and JP Morgan Bank just were frozen. I'm here in my bunker here in Minnesota. Me and my team are gearing up. We've been doing some live studying. We've been doing some live drills. We will be boots on ground tomorrow. We will be holding a press conference with the infamous Zach X. Patriots, I know you guys are sick of being pushed around. You commie fucks. You guys keep saying you're going to blow my hat off. You're going to kill me. I'm going to tell you one thing, and I want you guys to hear me clear. The more you kill men like me, just like you did Charlie Kirk, the more of us rise up. You guys are pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and there's going to be problems.
I'm going to stop it there because I'm telling you right now, if I play that whole video, we will get a strike on YouTube.
Yes, is that an APAC card or what has he got there on the front? And then the light. I love how he's got the backpack kind of like looking like a parachute on the front.
Right. Yeah.
Like he just jumped into his bunker.
It says AFPAC IV on it.
Yeah, this guy.
Is he like cosplaying being an adult.
That's what some of the people are putting in here, because really he does sound like a liberal the way he talks.
Well, yeah,
his
it
mannerisms.
sounds like this is like the what was it, the Patriot Front, where all the guys were in the chinos.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You know,
could be trust nothing these days, right? Trust nothing at all.
Yeah.
This tough guy with painted nails says he will run over any ICE agents who stop him and ask for his ID. 23 seconds.
With the uptick of ICE doing traffic stops in my area, I just want to go ahead and make my intentions.
Look at that.
I love those fingernails look good, buddy.
Fabulous.
Hey, what color are you using?
Burgundy.
Let's do a quick audience poll. If you think that he is hiding the 1,000 milligram stare behind those glasses, put a 1 in the live chat.
Clear. ICE, if you stop me and you ask for my identification, I'm going to run you the fuck over. I will squish you. I will end your subscription to life, you fucking cocksuckers.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And
they're
you
the
will die in
cocksuckers.
about 2 seconds.
Yeah, because they keep talking about the shooting, right? And if you watch the shooting, like we talked about on the first night, we talked about right after it first happened, you know, they want to talk about how he shot, you know, luckily he's got one in the windshield because that, you know, but of course the video speaks that. But as we know, the press doesn't care about that.
No.
They can twist it any way they want. Liars like this guy can twist it any way they want. And then they can say, oh, well, since he shot her in the side of the head through the window, she was already going away. And it should be like if somebody's leaving your home, you can't shoot them in the back. No, those 3 shots went off in about, it wasn't like he measured those shots out. You know, it's just stupidity. And his fingernails right here say it all the same. And you're right. We pulled those glasses off. He's probably got a 2,000 milligram stare because of how flush and skinny his face is.
Could be. I mean, by the way, your suggestion, Jeff, to bring in hot Iranian women, or Trump said that, or whoever said that. Arthur G says, yeah, but they'll want you to buy them a Mercedes or BMW. You're on mute, Jeff.
If they're not crazy, it's worth it.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. So Do Some Diff said that is the 1,000 milligram stare with the butt plug included.
He's spot on. That's what I was thinking. As soon as he called the ICE agents cocksucker, I was like, oh yeah, you know all about that, don't you?
But he just had a mani-pedi, so he feels so good about himself. He feels pretty today.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Holy crap. All right, moving on to the next one. Before I play this next one, just a quick reminder. Carnival had a 49% year-over-year increase in their wholesale cost of beef last year. They got hit with another 15% a couple weeks ago. That the prices have to go up. It's an extremely tight margin product. It's going up in the next couple days. If you want to lock in the prices, go to carnival.com. Sign up for a subscription now. You'll maintain the same price for 12 months. If you don't sign up for a subscription, you just bulk up on stuff. Use code EATMEAT, all one word, get 10% off. All right, Democrat political activist Jessica Craven, with 433,000 followers, is intentionally lying about what's taking place in Minnesota because we need more people out in the street.
I know a lot of you only get your news from me, which is pretty terrifying, but I want to make sure you know, and everybody knows, quite frankly, that ICE is escalating in Minnesota in a way that is absolutely terrifying and horrifying. I know a lot of people take breaks from the news because they want to check out, and I understand that. But what I want to tell you is happening, that citizens, people in their homes, teenagers, pastors, their limbs are being broken. They're being kidnapped. They're being hit with cars. They're being having guns stuck in their faces. They're being pepper sprayed. They're being disappeared. They are getting bolder. I really need you to understand that you can only put your head in the sand for so long on this, America. Because did you see the video of the girl who was ordering DoorDash? She didn't want anything to do with this shit.
This was my DoorDash lady. I don't even know the lady. She just ran to my house.
All right.
I have a baby here. Like, I really don't know what to do. I'll open the door if the police, say that I have to open the door, but like, I don't know what to do. This lady just was shot yesterday. Now I ordered fucking food and there's people outside my fucking house.
This is lawless in.
Man, this is like a twofer, right? I mean, you got this now.
Oh man.
By the way,
Well, I
look
hate
at
to tell.
the video paused, Randy.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. And when she
1,000,
said
1,500, 2,000. How many milligrams? What's the pool on this one for milligrams?
it's high, it's definitely high. You know, but you know, as you know, none of us are a big proponent of pulling people off of social media for saying stuff, but there is a threshold, and she more than crossed it. You know, it's violent rhetoric, but it's just bold-faced lies, and that's the problem. You know, free speech is one thing, but if you're going to lie like to the degree that she does, there should be some culpability. I don't care if it's just a few months in jail. I don't think she should go to jail for 20 years or anything near that drastic. But I also hate to let her in on the truth. It's not people want to check out, honey. They're unplugging from that programming system that clearly you keep 2 or 3 plugs in at one time.
Yeah, I mean, we get suspended strikes in the blink of an eye, and yet those lunatics can stoke
Say
violence.
whatever they want. I mean, it's just ridiculous because that is how glaringly obvious the difference is in the censorship. And it's just, again, in this country, we should have never allowed this kind of thing to happen. But I think is what people, social media was developed for this very thing right here.
Yes, sir. Randy or Jeff, pardon me.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, Randy, if we ban people who lie, just blatantly lie, there won't be an internet and there won't be social media. We won't have politicians. We won't have Hollywood. We won't have the news. We won't have anything because all those people lie through their freaking teeth for clicks.
Oh my goodness, that almost sounds like heaven on earth.
No, true story.
You recognize that, you just shrug it off. It's like, okay, another idiot saying idiotic things.
Yeah, we've only.
But wait a minute, Jeff. You were making that sound really, really enticing there for a minute.
Well, life was better before social media.
Yeah, no question. Couldn't agree more. We only got time to cover a few more things before we get into the main topic of the night. But this nutcase here has posted countless videos inciting violence. Nancy says, I watched and listened to this flaming liberal and thought to myself, who in the world wants another Boston massacre? And is this what we're teaching our young adults in school these days? This just goes to show the mindset of some of these liberals and the lengths they're willing to go to destroy America. 42 seconds.
So folks are posting about doing something on January 20th. I say we start fucking right now. Why are we waiting? We should make it really fucking clear what we're responding to. Shut the system down.
I have to admit, Chris, each one seems like the milligram dosage is getting higher each as we go along.
Well, I don't.
This was the worst yet. And she has the identity bracelet.
Yep.
Yeah, the snot ring. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just trying to get like the perfect still on this one here. That's not bad right there. Here, let's do that. If you all think that this is the 1,000 milligram stare, put a 1 in the live chat. If you think it's a 2,000 milligram stare, put a 2 in the live chat. Let's see just how crazy the audience thinks she is.
This is why messaging is so important. It's why this country, we dealt with it the way we did for so long. And now I really understand why after the last 15 years, and that's unraveled. It doesn't take long, does it?
No, not at all. I'm going to move on to the next one here. It's more craziness. A quick mention, by the way, our January membership drive started yesterday. It ends on Saturday. You can get 40% off the monthly membership fee. So it's only $4.79 a month. And you get access to 15 channels on our new Element server. Or if you pay annually, instead of paying $79.99, it's only $47.99. You get 2 months for free when you do it that way. But that expires on Saturday as well. Jeff, I'm going to come to you first after we play some of this stuff. Like, this is a big WTF.
And what brought you out today? I'm here fighting for public education for my children. They deserve so much better than what they're getting right now. They need smaller classes. My kids are neurodivergent, so they deserve extra attention through their schooling, and they're not getting what they need. So we're here fighting for that.
this bitch looks like something from fucking Lord of the Rings or something. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know what's happened. But I do agree with her on one thing. She says her kids deserve so much better right now. And I totally agree. They deserve a better mother. She shouldn't have kids. She should not have kids.
Jeff, you can run that one down first.
I agree with him 100%. And if she says, my kids are neurodivergent, well, so is their mother. And when we say neurodivergent, we mean batshit crazy. You look at her, she had like some sort of a contact lens over her eye so that her eye was all just 100% white. She had horns. She had like, vampire or elf ears, and I don't know how much of that was costume and how much of that was body modification.
Yeah.
She looks like that when she gets up in the morning, which means those kids are terrorized from the start of the day, which is why they're neurodivergent.
Yeah. Randy, do you want to add this?
Man, that one, the first thing I thought was, what a demonic freak. And somebody, let's see. Yeah, don't stop 822. I love it. She needs 2 flu jabs. But look at that picture, man. That is, I'm in agreement with him and Jeff both. This woman is a woman that is a mother. We don't know how many children, but God bless. What a terrible. That's a shame. Just a shame.
Our friend Manley in South Texas has been censored by YouTube because he said, Chris, you need to make a collage of all these 1,000 milligram stare freaks and sell it to Trojan condoms to put on a billboard.
No, because then people will never have sex and they'll never buy Trojan condoms. That's the exact opposite of what Trojan should do.
And John Fernandez got censored by ComTube for saying spay and neuter your pets. I'm approving all these, by the way. Real Americans will not be censored as long as I've got my finger on the button. Get this, India. John Fernandez got censored for saying she's odd. Odd. The word odd got him censored by the ComTube AI.
Well, the sad part is this is the kind of stuff the system is protecting. So what does that tell you about that?
John Fernandez just got censored again. Beam her up, Scotty. We got to prove that. Wow. Freaking ComTube just out of freaking control. I've got one more I want to show after this one, but this one's important. Illegal immigrants clearly think they're above the law. They've been given this mentality by the left, who treats them as victims rather than criminals. She was given very polite instructions, then screams like a banshee when the inevitable happens. 1 minute, 27 seconds. This is an illegal alien.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything, sir.
Ma'am.
I'm not doing anything, sir.
I've already told you.
I'm not doing anything.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
I need you to unlock the door.
Okay, we already
Roll
spoke
down
about
the
this,
window.
sir. I'm not doing anything to y'all.
Unlock the door.
I'm not doing.
Roll down
They
the
wanna
window. Yes.
break the
you need
windows. And this tow truck over here came over here too. I don't even know.
Just unlock the door and step
Sir,
out.
I'm not gonna do it because
Unlock the
I'm not
door
doing
and
nothing
step
to
out.
y'all.
Yes, you are at this time.
I told you. No, I'm not.
You are not listening.
It's not about
I already told you.
No, sir, it's not that. I'm not doing anything to
Yes,
y'all.
you are.
No, I'm not.
You are not listening to me.
I am,
You're
sir.
not free to go. You're not free to drive away.
Okay, I understand that,
You're
sir.
obstructing. The car has to be towed.
No,
So
it
you need to
doesn't.
step
No,
out.
I no, it doesn't, sir.
Yes,
like
you
I'm
are
a gay
hazardous.
guy.
When I always heard my kids crying like that, I knew they were forcing it, trying to make it sound like a crying. You don't get to manufacture your own little event and then cry about it. She had more. She could obviously understand English very well. Just open the door.
Jeff, I'm not sure. Did you have your mic on, and was that the javelinas? Were we getting interference from the javelinas on that video?
Well, the javelinas sound more sane, but
they're probably
fight amongst
smart.
themselves a lot.
They're
I'm
probably
not sure she was an illegal alien because those were just police. and they were towing her car. So she may have been driving with an expired license or something like, or expired tags or something like that, or had warrants. But that, I don't think that was ICE.
Yeah, well, it depends on the jurisdiction. So in Florida here, the first part we did is we basically deputized all the state troopers and that they can enforce immigration, so they can snag people and hand them over to ICE. I don't know if it's gone any lower in our law enforcement here, but anyway, this is the one I mentioned earlier. How did I go my whole life knowing that every single red state is statistically less educated than every blue state? Just substitute the word educated for indoctrinated. And the person who posts this asks, what major do you think her $400,000 degree is in?
There are so many new things that I'm learning this year. Like, how did I go my whole life not knowing that every single red state is statistically less educated than every single blue state, with Utah being the smartest red state out there. So yay for us. But yeah, I just thought that was a fun fact that every Democratic state statistically shows more college graduates and higher educated people than red states.
Do you guys want to comment on the conflation of education versus intelligent?
The reason why blue states have a higher average education than red states is because they have so many Starbucks, because that's where all these people end up working.
Oh my God.
Starbucks probably has on paper the most educated employees in the country because they all are failed college students with crappy degrees.
Yeah, the true story, true story. So that's the end of our sit rep. We're getting into the main topic of the night. Again, carnivault.com. Use code EATMEAT to get 10% off. Or if you want to lock your price in on beef for this year, do it now because prices are going up in a couple days. And speaking of beef, I don't want to leave out our friends, wasatchwagyu.com. This is the best jerky in the world. You can make sandwiches out of it, charcuterie boards, you name it. It's like crack cocaine. It's as bad as the Carnivault is. It'll hook you like you wouldn't believe. So with that being said, let me kick off our main topic here. So when Khalid and I wrote the 144 episode Long War Stories series, it was predicated on one thing that stitches it together so that you can watch any episode in any order and still get value out of it. Each episode is based on a post 9/11 2.0 scenario. So with that being said, as long as you know what 9/11 2.0 is, each video you can watch in order, out of order, this one, not that one, whatever works for you, and you'll still have context. So I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of 9/11 2.0, which is based on intelligence that's come out of Afghanistan terrorist training camps, thanks to our friend Khalid Muhammad at Command 11. So their intention, the Islamic Army, which is a banner that covers all these jihadi shitheads now, is to attack 10 to 15 tier 2 American cities simultaneously. So that's 100,000 to 500,000 for population. And they will start with soft targets like schools. The primary attacks will be bad. The secondary and tertiary attacks will be worse. It's modeled after Mumbai in 2008, Paris 2015. So what a CCTA is, there will be command and control teams in Afghanistan that will be watching social media, watching body cams on their jihadis, and watching live news, and having the jihadis pivot one way or the other to do maximum damage. In each of the cities, there will be 10 to 15 sleeper cells. In each of the sleeper cells, 4 to 12 jihadis. You're talking a force of 2,000 to 3,000 highly trained terrorists that are on a mission to inflict as much damage as possible, knowing full well they will not survive the event in the end. However, they will converge on the one and only level 1 trauma center in each of those cities. Tier 2 cities that have one level 1 trauma center typically do not have any larger cities around them for mutual aid or somewhere to send somebody who needs level 1 trauma care. So you will end up with people being triaged. So people who could potentially be saved by a level 1 trauma center, and they've got a short period of time before they expire, will be triaged. And they'll just basically be, look, we can't save this person. Move on to the people that we can save, level 2 and below. Buffalo, New York's a great example. You know, your couple-hour drive to the next level 1 trauma center in Rochester, New York. When they converge on these level 1 trauma centers and siege them, they'll have somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 hostages on average. They will use them as a base to broadcast horrific videos of maiming, torturing, and killing Americans. It will take highly specialized teams to go in and unsiege these buildings, which will be booby-trapped with things like sarin, nerve gas. All of the jihadis will be wearing suicide vests with dead man switches, so when they get killed and they fall over, poof, they blow up and kill everybody else around them. They will be dressed up as cops, paramedics, National Guard. If you take nothing else but this from the Long War series, if you are anywhere near the X when the shit goes down and you're fortunate enough to survive, get as far away as fast as you possibly can. The secondary attacks are going to be in the same location once the first responders arrive. There'll be VBIEDs, vehicle-borne IEDs, and try to kill as many first responders as possible. There is an airline piece to this as well. Look up Bojinka, Bojinka. It's a plot that was cooked up by Osama bin Laden in the mid-1990s. That will give you the gist of what that looks like. So with that being said, we're going to get into the first segment, and it's titled The Spark of Division, How Mainstream Media Splits the Story right from the beginning. And again, the title of this episode is essentially The Information Civil War, and these competing realities, which we watched tonight in the very first video we played, where that lady would not say that men can't get pregnant and lives in a complete alternate universe, and her minions as well. So look at it this way. Right after the attacks start in our cities, 10 to 15 of them, every major news network is going to jump in with their own take, so it seems, but it's going to be, they'll all be parroting each other. They will have their script and words to use, and you're probably not going to see any of them immediately say, oh, well, it's a, you know, it's a foreign jihadi attack. It'll be the motives are unknown. We don't know. We can't say for sure that this is jihadis or anything like that. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, we've got countless people in government agencies who will immediately start pointing at each other and saying that it's their fault, not our fault. They'll come up with some sort of knee-jerk way to put a spin on it. And it won't be facts reported as much as it's propaganda and trying to say, well, you know, they were on our radar, but they didn't do anything. So, you know, we couldn't arrest them. So it's not our fault, you know. And they're going to try and make Americans essentially pick the wrong side. They'll blame this on Donald Trump is what they'll do. They'll say it's 100% Donald Trump's fault, when in reality, it would be very difficult for 9/11 2.0 to happen if the Biden installation didn't let hundreds of thousands of really, really bad people who hate our guts, that are either terrorists or tied to terrorist organizations or support our terrorist organizations, into our country. That's where this army came in, and 9/11 2.0 will not be one and done. It will kick off a whole new series of frequent terrorist attacks in America that will go on for generations, just based on the number of bad people that came into the country. So you know that when people flip channels, when this is going down, when it's happening, there's going to be cherry picked footage. You're going to have expert quotes that fit the playbook, the narrative that you're trying to spin. And they're going to turn this, you know, shared American gut punch into finger pointing. And I'm telling you, they're going to blame Donald Trump for this, even though it was 100% on Obama, because that's who was really running the show when Biden was installed. And at the end of the day, this chasm that exists between us and them is only going to get greater, as well as families. We've seen a number of videos lately where people said, you know, I had to divorce my family because that's a MAGA person, so they can't be part of my family. By that night, when the trauma centers have been sieged, you're already going to see headlines saying something like, you know, ICE is locking people into camps. FEMA is locking people into camps. The FBI is locking people into camps. Trump's, you know, Gestapo is locking people into camps. And they're going to eat this shit up because they have this, I don't know what you call it. I'm trying to think of what the right word is. Stockholm syndrome, maybe, where, they sympathize and ally with the enemy, with the jihadis. And, at the end of the day, this will be a spark that absolutely pushes us over the edge. So Randy, I want to come to you first. And yes, I know you've talked about Iraq before in the past and Baghdad when it fell and so on, but I want to give our audience an updated feel for what do you think the first hour of coverage will look like on Fox, CNN, and everybody else, because they're all the same, relative to the behavior that we'll see in the streets based on your experience when Baghdad fell?
Well, so if we just go based on what we've seen in the last few years with the media, right? Anything, as we know, that they could twist into their narrative got all kinds of coverage. But anything that they didn't support their message, like, we saw Black people killed and murdered, and not the protesters during 2020, right? There was that one guy was a retired police officer or a sheriff or something to that effect that was helping watch somebody's that he knew their store, right? He got killed during the mob during 2020. And, the press didn't, although Black Lives Matter was a big deal at the time, that guy got zero coverage because he was trying to protect the business that the protesters were there to burn down or to loot. And I think that we'll see the same thing when this attack occurs. Or another great example was Butler, PA. Everybody knew, if you were watching when that happened, that was a gunshot, right? Everybody knew that this was some sort of probably assassination attempt. And look how long they drug that out before they actually said it. So I would expect that's more than likely what we'll see when this attack begins. As far as, what I think will happen, if anything remotely like when Baghdad fell, and there was an absence of power and of course, law enforcement. If there are no police officers out there and law enforcement is gone, that leaves a huge power vacuum. And everybody will come out and it will look like the LA riots all over again, or all these other ones we've seen lately. People are going to come out and loot every single thing until there is nothing left. Now, I don't know what will happen at that point as far as federal service members or service, we'll say troops on the ground. I can't speak to how that will go down in this country if it does. But my point to that is, even though we didn't have as many people as we needed, we still, I think it was roughly 300,000 or something, right, during the initial invasion. So we had enough to at least make the people in Baghdad stop looting after 3 days because they weren't done yet. If you can't stop that, but of course the attacks may still be going on, but at some point past that, they won't be. And you will see this type of looting if there is no rule of law. Other than that, then your criminals come out very, very quickly. And I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. And the reality is, when this type of thing happens, or all these other countries we saw toppled, although I know that we had a hand in all the stuff that happened, which may be truer to the point. But the fact is, just like when we tried to stand Afghanistan back up, how many of those leaders that were good leaders were assassinated before they ever really got to do anything? And it always seems to be the bad guys that actually seize and hold and gain and control the power.
Yeah, true story. Jeff, I want to I've got a couple questions for you, but the first one is, what's the biggest red flag that you can think of that's a red flag in a news report that screams bias in a horrible situation like 9/11 2.0?
When they start quoting unidentified sources. If they won't tell you who they're getting it from, they're probably just making it up.
Okay, so with that being said, if you were glued to the TV on the day that 9/11 2.0 kicks off, which network spin would piss you off the most, and why?
Probably MSNBC or MS Now, whatever the hell they call themselves this week, because they've got their stable of talking faces. I don't even call them talking heads because that implies that there's a brain in there. They are to a person 100%, 1,000% rabid TDS people. And they will pull stuff out of their ass, or they will spin stuff, everything will be Trump's fault. If Trump dispatches 1,000 troops to the scene of an incident, they'll say, well, why wasn't it 1,200? Why didn't he dispatch them yesterday or last week? And if you tried to say, well, because the terrorist event hadn't happened yet, they don't care. They're just going to find a reason to blame him for everything.
What do you reckon the chances are, Jeff, that any network will stay neutral on that day and thereafter?
From the major networks?
Zero. Yeah. I'm with you on that 100%. So let's move into segment number 2. So let me get this queued up here. All right. So segment number 2, I titled Echo Chambers Online Social Media Turns Crisis into Tribal Warfare. Once the attacks light up phones everywhere, platforms like X and Facebook light up too. But instead of pulling us together, their feeds shove users deeper into bubbles where one group shares grainy videos of heroic takedowns and another blasts memes about staged psyops, making every scroll feel like picking a fight with your own timeline. Algorithms hungry for that next dopamine hit keep serving up more of the same rage bait. So a guy in Ohio sees endless posts calling it an immigrant invasion while his cousin in Texas gets flooded with clips pinning it on rogue feds. And before long, these digital forts aren't just talking, they're recruiting armies of keyboard warriors ready to unfriend over facts. And what starts as a hunt for updates ends up a full-blown online brawl with hashtags turning into battle cries that drown out real calls for help, leaving the nation not just attacked from outside, but ripped apart from within by the screens that reward hate over healing. So, Randy, I'm curious what your thoughts are on your perception of how these sneaky algorithms on social media can make something like this feel like your own personal echo chamber.
Well, certainly if you're a liberal, you've already probably deleted and blocked everybody that ever said anything positive about Trump through your social media outlets. And I would bet some conservatives do somewhat the same thing. And then you only have one side of the equation, roaming around like this. And we see it. We see it every day with the liberals, just like half the stuff we watched earlier. What we're watching now, they seem to live in their own little echo chamber that it's, again, I taught their alternate reality, right? Because they can't ever face the truth. And, all they've done is weaken the country with every policy they've undermined, all the verbiage they've undermined, including all the stuff we watched earlier, where this person with a PhD can't ever say whether a man can have a baby or not. And, used to, that was like kindergartners said stuff like that, right? And us as adults would laugh, oh, that's cute. We'd correct them, and then we'd grow up in a certain way. It still astounds me that we had to watch that earlier today, or that the Supreme Court even has to rule on that men can't be in women's sports or in locker rooms in this day and time in the adult world. I mean, what is going on where you have people that can't admit men cannot have babies?
Yeah, pure insanity, right? But before I go to Jeff, Randy, have you ever had a family feud blow up over, something during a big news event, where you and somebody else or other people in your family, went head to head because they were each programmed in different manners?
Well, I'll tell you that my mother's side of the family, they didn't have to have any kind of a political event or public event happen, and I've heard of many families throughout my life that kind of have similar problems where people just can't get along for all kinds of mainly stupid reasons, right? Really stupid reasons, and they hold grudges. But as I mentioned previously, and both of my grandmothers have passed on, one in the early 90s, I think 92, and then I had one in the 2000s. So the one on my mom's side that lived in the 2000s, which she was the reason at the time that none of her kids got along, because she always pitted them against each other. And then she didn't play favorites in private. It was in the open. But she was a diehard liberal. I mean, I remember when I came back, I don't know if it was Iraq or it may have been after I got out of the military or I had already been injured. I don't remember, but I do remember the time I saw her at that point, and she came up to me, Randy, you could promise me. And I don't know what's really coming yet. I'm thinking, boy, what is this? This must be serious, that you will never vote Republican.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, whoops, too late. So had she, I can only say thank God, that even the Obama era and all that stuff, because me and my grandmother would have clashed during all of that, because I know to this day, she would still be on that side, just like some of these people we've seen. And she would be all upset about something that, so I saw something that doesn't even matter, because let's pick any one of their slogans in the last 15 years, and none of them mean anything. They're all just for a political moment, and that's it. The U2 movement means nothing. You don't even hear about it anymore. And did it ever help one woman? Probably not. And to think about what we've looked through now and, hearing all this stuff about Trump, I guess at this point, if my grandmother hadn't have passed away, she probably wouldn't talk to me at this point.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, Jeff, I got a couple questions for you. First one is, why do you reckon that platforms let rage spread faster than real information?
Platforms make money based on the number of eyeballs that are on them so that they can sell advertising. And rage gets results. It's sort of like the news. If it bleeds, it leads. Or, man bites dog is a news story because dog biting man isn't news. So when you get, you got to have celebrities, and you got to have rage, and you got to do sports, because sports fans are, rabid. They'll read. If you're a Patriots fan, you'll read everything about the Patriots. If you're a Tom Cruise fan, you'll read everything about Tom Cruise. But, the rage gets people ginned up. If there's rage and you agree with it, you're going to post, yeah, damn it, absolutely. If there's rage and you disagree with it, you're going to go, what a freaking moron. But the point is, both of you are posting. Both of you are reposting. You're either liking or disliking or something. And that drives engagement. It drives clicks, and it gives them more money from advertising. And they also keep track of how many hours is somebody on a social media platform. And they will analyze what you read and how much time you spend on it. And they'll give you more of that so that you're on their platform longer, so they make more money. It's very mercenary.
Yeah, well said. So do you reckon that social media is more of a weapon or a lifeline when the world's falling apart?
It could be more of a weapon, because people who really tell the truth are going to get censored, just like our people get censored, for using, the word odd. Okay, right. Guarantee you those algorithms are going to kick into overdrive. And the only message they're going to let out is the left message. They're going to immediately classify anything to the right of center as hate speech, and they'll censor it.
Yeah, true story. So that's the end of segment number 2. We're going to pivot into segment number 3. frozen in fear when conflicting info paralyzes the nation. So with every app and channel screaming different stories, who did it, why, and what's next, people end up frozen, second guessing every alert that buzzes their pocket, because if one source says duck and cover and another yells grab your gun, you know, how the heck do you move without screwing up? And this info gridlock hits hard on the streets, where neighbors argue over evacuation routes pulled from rival feeds, turning potential helpers into skeptics who sit on their hands. And meanwhile, the bad guys laugh as our confusion buys them more time to slink away onto the next target. And in the end, it's not just the blasts that wound us, it's the doubt that cripples, leaving a country too tangled in what ifs to rally, spot the next threat, or even agree on who to thank when the first responders show up, you know, sweaty, muddy, and beat down. So, Randy, first question to you. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on how does this back and forth on the news make regular people just freeze instead of doing something?
Well, you know, here's reality. Most of us want to make an informed decision, or, you know, at least before you make a move, you know what you're doing and what the outcome's going to be. And when you're totally confused, it's hard to make a decision. So right there, if you're indecisive, it's going to take you longer to do pretty much anything and everything.
Yeah, for sure. What do you reckon for most people, Randy, is the scariest part for them about not knowing which story to believe during a CCTA like this?
Well, you know, here's the reality, Chris. You know, you can't listen to any of the mainstream media. If you're listening to that, the only good you get out of that is this: something happened, right? But all the rest of it is propaganda. And so really, discernment is going to be a big deal. But I would say you have to look at consistency with values, right? And we see all the messaging from the left, including how many flags have they held up in the last year? It's about 5 now or something, correct? I haven't seen any of them waving an American flag yet. So that's the consistency I'm talking about when you're looking at a message and trying to discern the difference. And then it goes back to, why do they hate Trump so much? What people have to really understand is it's no different if you were in Congress or in Senate right now and you've been their buddy all along, and now all of a sudden you get a moral compass and it's time to dime everybody else out. Guess what's going to happen to that one guy or gal? Yeah. They are going to be eaten alive by the rest, because they have to protect themselves and their own. And if you try to go outside that, they're not going to allow it, because you will expose them. And that's what Donald Trump has done. He's a billionaire, as we talked about last night. He's been a part of that aristocratic level of society his entire life. He's one of them. He knows all the global elites. He knows which ones want this one world power and which ones don't. So the moment he decided to run as a Republican, they knew he wasn't on their side anymore. So henceforth, we've seen what's happened. And the problem is, here, I will go to say it this far. If the news is telling you it's in the interest of public safety, and that's what all the federal government is telling you about, they're lying. If somebody comes out against COVID and they get beat down because the doctor says this shot isn't any good, or COVID didn't come from a wet lab, and the whole system beats them down, there's a reason the whole system's beating him down, because that's who's probably telling the truth. That's how you know the difference.
Yeah, great answer, Randy. Good job there. Jeff, why do conflicting reports from major legacy media propaganda outlets hit families the hardest when they're already scared? They're already petrified. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. No, they each want their version of the truth to be the truth. And another part of it is, if everybody reports the exact same thing, what's the point of watching channel A over channel B. So they've got to be different from their competitors. But so a lot of it is it's bad, but it's not out of malice. It's out of stupidity. But, and what you're also going to have in there was when it comes to social media in particular, you'll probably have the terrorists putting stuff out that's total crap just to stir the pot, just to confuse people. And you will see the media companies grabbing hold of those reports, unsubstantiated as they are, because they hate being scooped by the internet. So if you put something out there that could possibly be plausible, they'll just say sources are reporting that, but they won't tell you that their source is just some dude on Facebook. And then they'll run with it because they want to get it before their competitors do. And they say, we were the first ones to tell you X. They are just, I think they are, in a word, narcissistic, but they are just so driven by outdoing their, competitors that they don't care if it's true or not. And I've told the story about when Reagan was shot and James Brady had been shot. There was a rumor went out that he had died. And man, that hit the airwaves immediately on ABC because they wanted to scoop everybody else. Well, it turned out to be wrong. And the anchor was furious on air. He was pissed because, they put up on the screen, James Brady's dead. And then 5 minutes later, oops, no, he's not. But they will do anything to be first.
Yeah, good answer, Joe. If paralysis sets in from bad info like this, how long do you think it'll take the nation to shake it off? Or can we even shake it off?
It will take time because people will be in that fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And so they will just stop believing the media. And even if the government is trying to get vital information out, and of course they'll give it to the news media to get out there, people won't believe it. And why should they? Look at COVID. What did we hear about COVID? Masks work? No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. Yeah, they do. The shot will stop transmission and infection. Well, it turns out, no, it doesn't stop either one of those. You got to be 6 feet away. Well, where'd you get that number? Well, it turns out we just pulled it out of our ass. Everything was almost everything the government told us about COVID was 100% wrong. Some of it, I think, was malicious. They were trying to protect China by saying, oh, it was this wet market. It didn't come out of a lab bullshit. And others were, they didn't have anything. The 6 foot one, there was one study, one place that used it. So they said, what the hell, let's put it out there. And even, I think, Fauci admitted some of that. They had to give the illusion of doing something.
Yeah, I would argue that the vast majority was straight up lies. It wasn't just wrong. It was lies, bald-faced lies, for that matter. So
everything out of Fauci's lips were lies. He knew where this thing came from the get-go.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. So that's the end of segment number 3. Again, quick reminder: prices are going up at Carnival. Beef is getting killed, man. Our national herd is half the size of what it was in 1982, and yet our population's much greater. Carnival.com. Prices are going up in a couple days. If you lock in for subscription on beef, a code red subscription, you can maintain your price on beef for the entire year. Also, with both Carnival and WasatchWagyu.com, discount code SD20, by the way. Neither of these companies pay us affiliate money. They pay us a monthly stipend that helps us defer expenses. Very much appreciated. But in either instance, if you are a Guardian annual member, every time you send me an invoice for $99+, I will tack 30 days for free onto your membership. So we now have Guardians who have subscriptions to Carnival, for example. They will never, ever pay for the Guardians ever again. So you could sign up tonight, for example, for $47.99. The extra 30 days only applies to annual members, by the way, but you could sign up tonight for $47.99, then go sign up for a Carnival code red subscription. I think the entry level one's about $140 a month, and you'd never have to pay for the Guardians ever again, and you get your beef price locked in. It's a hell of a deal. So with that being said, let's move into segment number 4. There's only 2 more segments to go. Grassroots truth versus corporate spin. citizen reporters step up. That would be us. So while the suits and studios peddle polished lies from safe rooms, everyday Joes with phones hit the rubble-strewn streets, snapping raw clips of the chaos that cut through the BS and show the real heartbreak, proving that one shaky video from a dad dodging debris beats 1,000 scripted segments any day. This is actually one of the biggest value adds, by the way, to be a Guardian member. We have subscribers across the country that are eyes and boots on the ground that we can trust. We built this new Element server. It's my server because power is going to swing back to the left at some point in time, and they're going to return to deplatforming and censoring people like us. So I was proactive. I spent the money and went and did it now for our own server. If they, the only thing Big Brother could do is say to our internet provider, cut the pipe. If they do that, I have 3 data centers offshore lined up in my contingency plan where I can fire up that daily image for the server and be back up and running in a matter of hours. So that's why we went to Signal in the first place, because it was encrypted and it wasn't really a platform. But the Signal Foundation, if they were ordered by the feds to shut you down, it's a single choke point and they can do that. Whereas when it's our own server, it's my server. I'm in a former life, a systems and network engineer and programmer, set up my way, ultra secure. They can't censor us. They can't deplatform us, which means they can't censor you and deplatform you. So back to segment 4 here. So citizen sleuths, for lack of a better term, don't wait for press passes. They crowdsource tips, fact check on the fly with neighbors, and basically beam unfiltered truth straight to millions, as long as they've been censored or deplatformed, flipping the script so the power shifts from boardrooms to backyards where folks actually feel the fear and fight for answers. So yeah, there's going to be some fake stuff that slips in. For those of you not aware, based on my background in high tech, one of my hobbies is debunking AI content. And there's all sorts of technical things I won't bore you with. By the way, one of the channels right now, I got a display going top left corner, is at 556 for the number of viewers on one platform. Interesting number for obvious reasons. But anyway, getting back on topic from that, there's going to be fake stuff, AI stuff. I specialize in debunking that crap. If you've got an eye for it, you don't even have to go to great lengths. You will never see individual strands of hair in the current iterations of AI. It's always like fuzzy. It's called diffusion. You'll see diffusion around people's heads. If you take a video and it's 30 frames per second, that just means that there's 30 still images shown in 1 second. And you take each of those stills and you look at them. And I was holding my hand up like this, for example, and you could see part of my face through my hand. That's called occlusion. That's a dead giveaway. There's another one as far as orientation is concerned. So when you watch a real video, you won't see things like the distance between my nose and my eyes ever change. But in AI generated stuff, every still is slightly different. So, one of them, they might be here. The next one, my nose might be, I'm exaggerating, but way over here, my eyes way over here. It's really easy to see when you do that. So there will be lots of AI. You're going to want to rely on somebody like us to tell you that's bullshit. It's AI. It's not legit. But you're going to see a lot of that. And I would argue because the jihadis are already using AI to make all of us think that they are larger than life, that they're bigger and more dangerous than they actually are, to instill even more fear. Don't kid yourself. They've got stuff already made that's ready to release when they attack, that will send out fake, videos and stories on what happened at this stage in the attack at this city, so on and so forth. And it'll be complete bullshit, but it'll take people's fear all the way to the next level. So at the end of the day, I would refer to this as a web of trust. We can't trust legacy media. 20 years ago, best case scenario, it was infotainment. Worst case scenario is propagandatainment. It's all propagandatainment today, number one. Number two, you have certain people out there in the social media world that are extreme narcissists that will do anything and knowingly lie to get more clicks, more exposure, to feed their narcissism, and to, blow up their online reputation, knowing full well that it is complete and utter bullshit, like complete and utter bullshit. And it's not hard to prove for anybody who knows what they're doing. Anyway, with that being said, Randy, I got a question for you. Why do you think that the videos that individuals take, truthful individuals take, and they put it out there, gets way more attention and traction than anything that the legacy media does these days?
Well, you know, it is, I think it's because people take to it, right? And then they start sharing it and they want to get it out quickly. So that's one of the things that social media has helped, right? Because people like that can get the message out. You look at how different now X is from when it first started as Twitter, you know, and the amount of news that comes out of X, because people can get it out instantly. And, you know, where the mainstream media is, you know, is squashing that. My only, I don't know. It's an oddity, because I would say with the amount of suppression they got, you know, they've got all those algorithms working overtime. And so, but somehow they're still able to stop the truth, just like when Nick Shirley put this out. So really all they can do after that is try to undermine it and discredit it. That's it. And so that's what we've watched ever since.
So give me your opinion. I mean, Green Beret, paramedic before that. I mean, obviously you're an intelligent man, but how could regular folks spot fake stuff without relying on somebody like us to tell them when they first see it? What would you think the average person could, you know, deduce?
Well, fake stuff on the internet is kind of hard. You know, you just pointed out some of the things about AI, and those are all good points. Of course, there was fake before AI was released. So, you know, I would say, one, you know, you need to do your due diligence. If you see something on the internet, don't just blow up right off the bat, no matter which side of the news it's on, right? You need to probably take a step back and let a day or two go by, and then maybe do some research, look around in some other areas. Again, not the mainstream media, because whatever they're saying is a lie for the most part. So they're not going to give you the truth, folks. It's too late for them at this point. And to be able to discern, you know, is between what's fake and not, it takes common sense, and it takes running things to ground, right? Like, as I just mentioned, and we've mentioned many times on this show, you need to look up this stuff yourself and try to double check it before you make it. You know, again, it goes back to making an informed decision. And when you, as we all know, if you watch something just happen, or you see something fake on the internet and you don't know it's fake, but it gets a reaction out of you and you react emotionally, that's what we're seeing. That happens most of the time. But the fact is, it's because online it's not very easy. I think the AI stuff right now, until they, you know, sharpen it up, if that happens, is the easiest to tell if it's fake. But, you know, again, most people, including us, want to hear the stories that back up what they're saying. So again, it comes just down being careful and looking around, and then maybe, you know, check more than one source.
Yeah, check multiple sources for that matter. I don't know if Jeff's disappeared into his background. Yeah, there he is. Jeff, I got a couple questions for you. The first one is...
Hey, and he's on mute, so that's the third time, folks. So y'all were right on that first.
Hey, was I saying anything?
Is that the over-under? Anyway, Jeff, can you think of any social media post where it wasn't truthful and it was ginned up to scare people, and it succeeded in scaring people? Just something that was completely BS put out there on social media. So while you're pondering that, let me give you the other question, then I'll come back to that one. If citizen journalism takes over, and I would argue it has to a large extent, will that kill off the old guard, or will it make them better? Will it make them improve? Start there with that one first.
Well, I think citizen journalism will kill them off because they don't want to improve. We've seen that with CBS. Barry Weiss, who is a liberal, she'd worked at the New York Times and other places, and she's now the editor of CBS News, is trying to inject at least a modicum of objectivity into their reporting. And she's meeting resistance at every turn. They don't want to be honest. I mean, you see it now. You get these journalism schools that are saying, no, you can't be objective. It's got to be, God, what do they call it? Something journalism.
Narrative.
No, anyway, where they're pushing an agenda, and so no, if you can only get better if you want to get better.
True story.
They don't want to get better. If you're sick and you don't do anything about it, you'll probably stay sick. If you're fat and you don't try to lose weight, you're going to stay fat.
Well, the other thing, Jeff, is nobody likes to admit you got caught lying or that you've been lying. They'll never
so
go
they
back
call the ones who catch them are the liars now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But, they, and as far as videos go, I don't know about scaring people, but we had one recently where they had a Catholic bishop, reading the riot act to ICE people. Well, it was all AI generated. It was all total crap. And, you see these posts where, they're putting people in concentration camps. No, they're not. They're disappearing U.S. citizens. No, they're not. You hear it all the time. They just keep repeating the same bullshit. And it's the old adage, if you repeat a lie enough, people think it's the truth.
Yeah.
Or let's just go with the slogan, right? As I mentioned earlier about the fake movements. Let's just take the most no kings, right? There was somebody that came to me about no kings here recently, and I had to tell this person they were an effing idiot. Why? He's like, well, there was no paid protesters. I went. I'm not a paid protester. I'm like, first of all, you went to a fake movement. Now, two, I understand why the paid protesters are there because they don't care if it's a fake movement. They're getting paid. But you're the fool that showed up to a paid fake protest for free. But that's proof, right? If you come up with a slogan like no kings, all of us that actually learned in school that got an education know that when kings existed, you weren't going to go out and protest the king without getting your head cut off.
True story. Yeah, true story.
You paid to go to a free showing.
All right, so let's jump into the fifth and final segment on tonight's main topic, fighting back, ways to patch up the broken trust and unite again. I don't see it happening, and I wrote this brief, but anyway, to claw our way out of this digital ditch, we've got to start small, teaching buddies to cross-check sources until it becomes second nature, ditching the junk feeds for mixed bags of info that force us to think instead of nod along, because blind loyalty to one side just digs the hole deeper. And again, they're putting into a purposely adversarial situation, red, blue, Democrat, Republican. At a political level, Democrats, Republicans are two different sides of the same coin. I've been saying that long before the term uniparty came up, but communities can band together too. They can have frank town halls where, whether it be veterans, doctors, tech people like myself, hash out the facts without the spin, building bonds that will far outlast any viral storm and remind us that we're all in the same boat when the shit hits the fan. At long haul, it's about demanding better from the platforms and pipes, pushing for rules that zap the lies fast without gagging free talk. And I'll speak a little bit more on that in just a second. So we end up with an info grid that's tough, fair, and legit. But what we saw during Charlie 19 was anything but. Dr. Mike, good friend of mine, comes on my podcast to discuss the Jace case and contingency medical. And he mentions that when you're checking out, this is going back a few years, when you're checking out, because you have to be onboarded by a doctor, whether it be by a phone call, Zoom, or email, he said, check the box that says you may be going outside the country in the near future, and they will give you the option to purchase ivermectin. Now, at that particular point in time, ivermectin had been taken over 15 billion times, primarily in Africa, because it's a daily thing for many people there because of Giardia and other waterborne ailments that's in the water. Now that number is over 20 billion. You know, little ivermectin pills have been taken since it's created. They can't hoard, monopolize it, and mark it up 10,000%, which is why Big Pharma railed against it. And for those who don't know, Big Pharma are the ones who control everything. Big Pharma account for somewhere in the range of 75 to 80% of the advertising spend on all of the legacy media. The only exception to that is presidential election years. It's about 50% as far as Big Pharma and 50% everybody else. But Big Pharma dictates what narratives get broadcast out by the Mockingbird media. And if the big conglomerates that own the media now, so you've got 6 companies own 99% of our media, BlackRock, Vanguard, and the list goes on. All Big Pharma has to do is say, look, either you publish the narrative we want you to publish, or we'll just pull our ad spend. And because their ad spend is so much of these media outlets, they would be out of business in a New York minute if they didn't comply with that type of information. So I've got to put another shameless plug in for our Guardian community. We have a super active community. One of the 15 channels gets in the range of 12,000 messages per week. A lot of back and forth in there, but we have specialized channels we have a food channel, we have a women's only channel, we have a survival and prepping channel, we have an emergency notifications channel, which is also tied to your email, which is also tied to our Substack, which is also tied to POC Link radios. We did a test of our system, the Survival Dispatch Emergency Notification System, about a month ago, and not one person reported that they did not get the emergency notification on at least one device. Whereas 3 weeks before that, the emergency broadcast system went down in 31 states completely, and they had no backup to it. But here we are, little old Survival Dispatch. We have a backup to that. But nonetheless, our Guardian community is protected from the censorship. It's protected from the bullshit. And we have a trustworthy community, to be quite frank, at the end of the day. So, Randy, I'm going to come to you first, and I want to get your thoughts on local get-togethers after 9/11 2.0. So you've got a fairly large community that you live in. Do you think anybody there will have the presence of mind to say, hey, we all need to get together and discuss security for our community as far as perimeter security and what happens if you're our target? I mean, you're a GWAT vet. You're high on the list of retribution that they want. You can't be the only veteran in that community. What do you think it'll happen in your community? Not around the country, but just your community.
Well, I don't know, because again, after I saw the episode John put on there about all the mosques that have popped up in this area in the last few years and how many there are, but I've tend to believe that this area will not be hit by it will not be one of nothing in this area will be in one of the 15 cities. In fact, that's what they do. Just because of the amount of population here is far greater than 1 to 500,000. We have plenty of tier 1 level hospitals. And then all these communities are right next to each other. So even if you were to overwhelm one, which would work if they were isolated, all these other communities will come in. So I don't think we'll see it quite like as one of the attacks. But if, as I mentioned before, if these attacks are even 50% successful or greater than that, I think, and certainly if we lose the power grid, that will be, for me, that's the key. If we lose the power grid, we're in trouble. And, I have a huge neighborhood. It's got 4,000 homes. So I don't have to leave anywhere. I've just got to circle the wagons in this one particular neighborhood. And there is 2 or 3 exit points right now. But certainly if things got bad enough, there's no power, you're going to see people link up. It's what we do. You're going to see people come out and try to team up. And you're not going to be probably going out into public like we do right now. But like I said here, all I got to do is start rounding up some of my neighbors. And you're going to have some at this point. It won't matter which side they're on politically. When shit hits the fan and the power grid's down, shit's going to get real. Because here's the truth, and we've mentioned it on this show, even us and liberals have way more in common. If we were to sit down and actually have a civil and adult conversation and talk about the truths, where there's men aren't having babies and that kind of crap. You know, we all have far more in common. So if we sat down and including with our families that are flaming liberals, and we were to sit down and what we wanted as a society, as a town, as a home, as a family, whatever, you could start listing out, each one of you on your own or each side, what is most important to you. And then you would be amazed at how many of those overlap and how few don't, right? So the truth of the matter is what they're keeping inflamed and in people's faces is all this. It's really not true, because if we sat down, we would have most of what we wanted and needed for us and our families and our lives, most of that overlaps. So really, some of the pettiness we see going on right now will fall by the wayside. And you will see groups that form up, and you better, because like I said, there's going to be criminal elements out there that already have a network, already have weapons, already have people. And don't think that they aren't just waiting for the very first opportunity to come out and use that.
Yeah, true story. Jeff, first question for you. Have you ever witnessed like a rift over, the fake news where the parties actually reconciled?
I don't think so.
I was afraid that was going to be your answer.
Not that I can recall. There may have been on some minor issue, but I sure don't remember it.
Okay, so let's go a slightly different direction. So during Charlie 19, all of the major platforms gave the Biden administration and all the European governments back-end access to their platforms so that they could delete comments, they could shadow ban people, they could suppress people, they could deplatform people. And everything that was done, as you stated, was, defending the lies. And they went after everybody who told the truth, including myself, who got deplatformed and censored and so on and so forth. What do the social media platforms need to do, in your opinion, to regain some level of trust? Because I don't trust any of them, which is why I went to the expense of building our own Element server and our own Element community. Because I think when the power swings back to left, these bastards are going to do the same freaking thing all over again.
Yeah. And just fair warning, I got to leave after this or, for dinner. I think what they need to do is to be transparent about the lack of transparency. Come out and say, this government is asking us to censor this conversation or this person or this group. And if they do that, like if, when X comes, when the Europeans went to X and said, you cannot show that interview with Trump and Elon basically said, not only are we going to share it, we're going to share with the world your letter to us threatening us. And that really set the Europeans were back on their heels because they're not used to people pushing back, and it's certainly not pushing back loudly and publicly. And so you need more of that when the authorities get embarrassed by their efforts to censor, they'll stop censoring.
Yeah, well said. So before you jet, Randy and I can handle the conflicted question, but trust me, you are going to want to see the Carnival heroes, plural, of the day. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. So for those people who didn't read the SITREP on our Substack today, tonight, the Carnival heroes of the day, we're honoring masculine white men for their outstanding contributions to building Western civilization and maintaining the productive backbone of society. Despite us facing systematic discrimination from establishment institutions, white men continue to demonstrate the work ethic, ingenuity, and commitment to excellence that has historically built and sustained the greatest civilizations in human history. I have 4 separate things that I'll go through quickly. First one's first. White men are the most productive group in the world. White men are the most difficult to control group in the world. So the global Zionist regime is using literally everyone else to try and get the white man down, free the white man. This is an eye test. I'm not going to zoom in on it, but what it is, these are productivity measurements between white males and everybody else, and we are the blue lines and everybody else is the red line. It's significant. Are there exceptions to the rule? Of course, there are always outliers. Number two, if every single white man did this, there wouldn't be any non-whites existing in our white-built countries, and white women, white children, and white men wouldn't be getting raped and abused and murdered every second of the day. Fight back, white men, 1770. So these scumbags were harassing the white girls, and the white guys stood up to them as they should. The next one, the whites, particularly the males, historically built Western civilization. They were targeted decades ago as a strategy by the woke Marxist framers, white Germans, by the way, to make them the oppressors and pit other groups against them, even their females, if possible. Why invade a country when you can just buy its institutions, turn its women against its men, make transvestites of its children, sell the wealth generated by its labor to foreign investors, then introduce a foreign army as refugees and diversity to finish it off? And last one, white men have been systematically discriminated against by the establishment, boomers, the left, and foreigners in their own country, locking them out of their futures. The rage is past the boiling point. We will take our country back now. Question for Grok. What percentage of new jobs have gone to white males in America from 2021 to 2024? From 2021 to 2024, approximately 6% of the new jobs added by S&P 100 companies in the U.S. went to white males. Jeff, tell your wife I apologize for you being a few minutes late for dinner, but I wanted you to be honored amongst the other white men. And I don't give a shit. You can call me racist all you want. Being proud of your people does not make you racist.
I'm very proud of my people. You guys have a good night.
All right, you too.
See you, Jeff. Well, I was going to say, by the left's metrics then, right? Or the people that hate this country, the anti-Americans, not the real Americans, by their standard, then you could say paying taxes is racist and we shouldn't be doing it.
Well, yeah, clear. I mean,
by their standard, that's racist.
Yeah, well, it has to be. I mean,
and as far as productivity, if you don't want any productivity, and again, now we know why the white average American male or the middle-aged white American male is the biggest threat to democracy.
Yeah, we're the ones who invented it. But anyway,
propped it up, paid for it, paid the taxes. We did it all.
Yeah, and we got the T-shirt to prove it, right?
Got the T-shirt to prove it.
All right, let's hit our conflicted question, Randy. If society as we know it were to collapse, the government would try to ensure its own survival. How do you think your federal government will behave if a solar flare or electric magnetic pulse destroyed the power grid across the country? Can't happen. You could blow up every nuke in the world over America and you still wouldn't hit the entire country with EMPs powerful enough to do that. But would you join them or avoid them? Meaning, would you join the government or would you not join the government?
Well, I want to say Father Duck said he's on his way out. We'll see you next time, Father Duck. Thank you for all you do.
Always.
And then there's another comment. Who was it here? Mike Gunner. So I guess he just resigned from his job and couldn't be happier. So I hope that all works out. Sounds good. Yeah. So when the apocalypse comes, or the nuclear war, or whatever puts us in the situation that we're in the conflicted game in the real world, you will not want to join whatever government comes along, more than likely. That would be a mistake. It's no different than FEMA or all these other things that we've seen here recently that go awry. I simply would not join the government and whatever's left. What was the rest of the? Can you pull it back up real quick? Let me see this thing.
Yeah. So basically, the question is: if society as we knew it were to collapse, the government would try to ensure its own survival. How do you think your federal government will behave if a solar flare, electric magnetic pulse?
That's right. I knew there was something else I wanted to address in this.
Would you join them or avoid them?
Well, you're definitely going to want to avoid them. you know, and here's reality. What would our federal government? Well, they've already put these things in place, folks. It's no different than when September 11th kicked off and both the president and the vice president went to bunkers. They already have these bunkers built. They already have all these scenarios weighed in. Certainly, even if there was somehow an EMP that shut the whole country down, their bunkers are going to be protected for that. And the reason they're going to be in bunkers is not just because it's going to suck up here. That's so they can maintain control over the rest of us.
Yeah, so there is the chance that a Carrington level event could hit us, a CME, a coronal mass ejection, plasma ejection from the sun. That was the September.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah, that was September 1st, 1859. It was guesstimated that it was an X5 flare. Typically, there's one every 100 years. We're way overdue for one. But when that hit us, it set all the telegraph wires on fire. It set the telegraph machines and some telegraph operators on fire. If we got hit with an X5 today, it would nuke every piece of electronic equipment in the entire world. Thing is with CMEs, coronal mass ejections, when the energy from the sun hits us, it hits the ionosphere and hits the entire world. There is nowhere safe. No, you can't run anywhere. It hits everybody equally. That's something that's worth being concerned about. But from a grid perspective, we are a first world country with a third world power grid. And I've been saying this for many, many years. Yeah. Here's the problem. We have 55,000 substations. Out of the 55,000 substations, we have 9 that are critical choke points. And there are 3 choke points in each of our 3 grids. You have East Grid, West Grid, Texas Grid. They are rarely connected to each other unless we need to shunt power somewhere else, like California needed help from Texas during the summer, the past 2 summers for that matter. But if you take out those 9 substations, you kill power to 95% of Americans. Only Americans would have power, the ones who live between the first substation and the power generation plant, and people like us who are off grid. We can generate all the electricity we need without being connected to the grid. So as far as joining or being against the government's concerned, let me just say this. I got an email last week from this Chinese company that said, hey, we make this kind of, you know, central piece that you can plug in all of these different types of sensors. And it's like a security system on steroids. In other words, you can connect it to everything in your house. That's what IoT stands for, Internet of Things. The IoT stuff is basically taking a dumb device, putting a sensor on it, reporting it to somewhere central, and then acting based on whatever that information may be. And so, you know, you've got your fridges, your thermostat, all your TVs, all that kind of crap, name it, you can connect it these days. Well, they wrote back to me this morning, Randy.
Yeah.
And they were going to send us samples of stuff. And honestly, less than 10% of what gets sent to us ever goes on the channel. Not willing to put my name on the vast majority of shit that we get sent. They wrote me, Randy, and they said, we watched your podcast and we will not be sending you any of our equipment because of your politics. So the way the whole thing went down is these are people living under the thumb of communism who basically are so scared to death over the CCP that they didn't want to work with us. And you know, I wrote back, I said, basically, stand up for yourselves, stand up. If communism,
if they're truly a Chinese company, you know that the government is part of it, so they
100%.
They don't have a choice. But of course, they're not going to send you their product. You don't want to dime them out for how it's working.
Well, I'm not in the business of hurting other people's businesses. It's a very rare thing for me to say something negative towards a product. But what I do is I write back to these companies and I say, I'm not putting my name on this. Send me a return label. The vast majority of the time, they're like, no, go ahead and keep it. And I hate it because it just clutters the shit out of my office and my sheds and everything, right? But anyway, at the end of the day, I can't imagine living under that. I'm not teaming up with any assholes like that. Not a chance in hell. So anyway, we'll be back quickly. So you've got the banner across the bottom, or actually it's gone now because we changed.
Somebody said the link was broken earlier. I did see that.
Just go to survivaldispatch.net. It's I don't know what link you're clicking on, but just punch in survivaldispatch.net. If you're having any problems with that, you can always email support@survivaldispatch.com. Somebody asked about getting signed up and getting into the server. We have an onboarding team. As soon as you sign up, you get sent to the onboarding team. They hold your hand and they get you onto our new server. But again, it's just survivaldispatch.net, www.survivaldispatch.net. Doesn't matter. They all go to the same spot. So with that being said, our 40% off annual Guardian memberships, actually it's monthly this time around as well, ends on Saturday. Also, Carnivalt will be raising prices soon. You want to lock in your beef price, you got to do it now on the subscriptions. Try the crack cocaine jerky from our friends at wasatchwagyu.com. It doesn't get better. Discount code SD20. And for both Carnival and Wasatch Wagyu, if you email your receipt for $99 or more to support@survivaldispatch.com and you have an annual Guardian membership, I'll give you 30 days for free. So if you sign up for a subscription right now, lock in your price with Carnivalt, and you just forward that to me each month, you'll never pay for a Guardian membership ever again. So we'll be back tomorrow night with the next episode in our Long War series, which is ethnic and cultural enclaves, and it's basically, segregation. But that'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night, all the regular platforms. Between now and then, please do me a favor and please like, share, comment, and subscribe. God bless our law enforcement, God bless our troops, and God bless America, and enjoy the closing video.
And at the